across the country, especially along religious lines, and it's important that you interrogate everything, every broadcast that you get on WhatsApp, every video that you see on social media, every picture. It is very important that you interrogate them because a number of old videos, repurposed videos are being shared across board. And while things are happening, it's a very sensitive period, and we must all be careful so that we do not set the country on fire. We know that authorities are doing their best to ensure that all of these issues and those involved in the death of Deborah, the gruesome murder of Deborah, are brought to book, and we must allow authorities to do their best because so that we do not descend into a jungle. So whatever you get, broadcasts, tweets, threads, please interrogate carefully. There was also another issue in Lagos as well, and we must all be careful. Mob action and all of these things. And for everyone that is listening to us, it's never the way to go. If you feel that someone has genuinely committed a crime, then there's something we call citizens arrests. Find a way to hand them over to maybe the NSCDC or the Nigerian police force and let them do their job. There's so much happening across the country. I would pray that God will continue to grant us peace across the nation. Good morning. This is Panorama on Splash 106.7 FM.
Good morning. What an eventful weekend, though not exactly one filled with cheery news. Regardless, pleased to be here again. My name is Lola Neduteni.
We're streaming live on Facebook at the moment, so it means you can join the conversation there. Shortly, we'll be live on Twitter Space as well. You can also join the conversation there. Like we say all the time, you can carry us along with you anywhere you go to. Outside the state, outside the country, we are with you 247. Radio Garden, Mixlr, our website, all channels through which you can listen to this station anywhere around the world. But this is Panorama, and the program has two segments. The first segment is tagged Issue of the Day, and like the name implies, we'll take a look at particular issues as it concerns us and try to make sense of some of these issues as well. While the second segment is tagged From the Pages, which is the part where we take a look at the newspaper headlines. We delve into these headlines, and with the aid of an analyst, we also try to make sense of some of these stories as well. But let's get to our conversation this morning. The position of president is one that is always heavily contested in any nation. As with it comes the power to bring about sweeping reforms that can set such a nation on the path of greatness, regardless of whether it is a unitary system of government that is run or a country with federating units and a center. A president's influence is still immense.
It was on the promise of effecting necessary reforms that the current Muhammadu Buhari-led APC administration wrested power from the PDP 7 years ago. After a two-term tenure with dissenting opinions on his performance, Nigeria is gearing up to elect another helmsman to steer the ship for another 4 or possible 8 years.
Let us thus examine what issues to interrogate from the candidates who emerge from the party primaries this month, as well as the onerous task ahead of whoever wins the 2023 elections. And we have joining us this morning, Honorable Olufatoke joins us for a long period on this segment of Panorama. Thank you very much for coming through this morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Nigerians. Good morning, people of Ogun State.
And also, we have Yemi Ajala also making a return after a while. He joins us this morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
All right. So, like we mentioned in our prologue, many a times we talk about elections, especially when elections are approaching. But the more important part of what issues should form the basis on which we decide or make a decision on, okay, this is the person I think I should cast my vote for. And sometimes politicians make very bogus and unrealistic campaign promises like we've seen in the past. So we're trying to look this morning at what exactly, for this country to move towards the path of progress, let me start with you, Yemi. What should be the issues that should dominate the headlines, and that should dominate our interrogation of these campaign manifestos?
Good morning once again. Yes, we are in the era of promises again. I mean, they will promise everything. We'll bring you the moon on a platter of gold. We'll build bridges to the doorstep of your father's house. And we will make it rain money every time you need it. But, of course, the issue is not that we do not know what the problem of Nigeria is. I mean, if you ask anybody on the street, they will tell you that the two major important things that anybody that wants to be Nigeria's next president should look at is the economy and the security. Last week, ISWAP, the Islamic State in West African province, claimed that they killed 3 policemen in Suleja, Niger State. That is not central. They've been known to be active previously in the northeast. So that means that they are trying to expand their sphere of influence. And soon they may be touching the Atlantic. So security is germane. The economy, of course, is very germane. I mean, during this administration, Nigeria was labeled the poverty capital of the world. And right now we are battling an inflation that is tending towards a recession again. So those two things are very important. And of course, if you interrogate the kind of campaign promises that has been coming from presidential aspirants from all the parties, you start hearing, we will do this, we will do that, we will give you universal free health, we will give you this. The most important question we can ask and use to interrogate these people is how. How are you going to do this? Nigeria is a poor nation. Like, a lot of people see Nigeria as like, there's money in government, there's this one and this one, and I laugh because I look at Portugal, which has in 1 year. And so we do not have the resources to deal with all the challenges that we have. If you say, oh, I will make sure that I tar 50,000 kilometers across the country, how are you going to finance that? How? If you say, for instance, oh, Nigeria does not have electricity, we are only distributing about 4,000 megawatts, I'll make sure that we get to 30,000 megawatts. How? How are you going to do that? Because that is when we can. So, for instance, let's take the electricity issue. Presently, this administration is working a lot on generation. I mean, we have the generation capacity of about 13,000 megawatts. And the Siemens deal is going to add about 25,000 megawatts on it. We are still doing construction. So that means that in the next couple of years or thereabouts, Nigeria will have about 40,000 megawatts installed capacity. The major problem we have right now is distribution and transmission. The TCN is fully owned by government. How, as a president, are you going to increase the capacity of TCN so that they can transmit 40,000 megawatts? How are you going to unravel that privatization that was done in 2013 by the Jonathan administration that has made it seem as if we cannot distribute power effectively from BEDC to high BEDC to presently somebody said that there's been a blackout in Calabar for 4 days. Those are distribution company problems. We don't have spin reserves, which is why we are having all these national grid collapses up and down. How are you going to do that? How are you going to fund this upgrade of our transmission network? How are you going to unbundle the legal knot that makes it impossible for you to boot out these people that you sold IBEDC and AKEDC and all those things to? Because they are clearly inefficient. They don't know what they are doing. And get correct people that actually know the job in. The government still controls about 40% of all these electricity distribution companies. How are you going to use that 40% to assert, even if you are not going to chase them away, to assert the rights of the citizens so that they can get better service delivery? How is the most important question we can ask these politicians? That is my own submission for now.
All right. Well, I remember that current presidential aspirants and also past presidential aspirants, Atiku Abubakar, pre-2019, had a proposal floating around on how he was going to get the refineries working. But a lot of people thumb their nose at it. Now, that's a case of someone who maybe answered the how question.
Yes.
But it didn't seem satisfactory enough to Nigerians.
See, it is when you ask the how question that you can interrogate their antecedents. Let me give you another example. Former Senate President Bukola Saraki just last week said that he's going to provide universal free health care. He was the governor of Kwara State for 8 years. So a simple question is, how are you going to do that, given that you did not do it as a governor? So for former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, he was the one that superintended the privatization policy of the Obasanjo administration. He was the chairman of the National Council on Privatization. The privatization of the Alaja steel mill, the privatization of the all our steels and all these other places, and all these things are still moribund. We had the Pentascope corruption issue and the Alibotin corruption issue under his administration. He was the one that supervised it. He was the chairman of the council that did all those things. And so if you could not privatize Nitel, and Nitel died, you could not privatize a lot of these companies and they died, how are we sure that you are not just going to do the same thing for these refineries? So by asking how, we can interrogate their antecedents in public and private office.
So what you're saying is it's not enough to just ask how. You must also
of
look
course,
at
the historical antecedents of how you have been able to use that same. I mean, look at Emmanuel Macron. He was the minister for finance in France. And because of him trying to implement certain things in a certain way, he had a clash with his political party. So he left the position and went to found his own political party that, look, across board, not just in finance, this is how we are going to be running this country. And the people keyed into it. And a party that is less than 2 years old made him the president of France. So it is when people say, oh, you want to be president, how are you going to do this? And he says, look, this is how we are going to do this. And it is because of how I had done it in the past and it worked that way. That is how we are going to do this and it is going to work. Then we can use historical antecedents to interrogate. But when somebody says, oh, yes, I want to be the next governor of Ogun State, I'm going to build hospitals, general hospitals in the 336 wards of Ogun State. How are you going to do that? How are you going to fund it, for instance? When Obafemi Awolowo wanted to become the premier of Western Region in 1951, he said, look, we are going to fund free education. Everybody, including people in his own party, said it is not possible, that there is no money. How are you going to do it? And he wrote a plan of how he was going to achieve it by 1953, how he's going to get the funds. He couldn't do that by 1953, but he achieved it by 1954. And today, the whole of Western Region, including Delta and the Bedo states, are the better for it. So how is the most important question? Show us the plan, the details. How?
All right, well, let's pan over to Honorable Olufatoki. Nigerians are jaded when it comes to campaign promises, electoral promises from aspirants. They've heard it all before. We're going to fix the electricity sector, we're going to build roads, we're going to get the refineries working, we're going to give universal health care, we're going to solve the persisting issue of the ASU strike. And these are promises they've had in the past that have remained unfulfilled from different people. And so a lot of Nigerians tend to generally view campaign promises with distrust. But is there a difference between campaign promises and perhaps an actual manifesto? Can you separate when a politician is just blowing hot air and when he actually has a plan, a real blueprint that he intends to implement should he win? How do you separate it?
Thank you very much. Before I dwell into that question, of course, I will let me first outline the expectation of Nigerians from the incoming president or incoming government. The hierarchy of things are there. Nigerians want security of lives and properties, security of jobs, good living standard, provision of social amenities, and so on and so forth. So the question, if we want to look at, you look at the past, the present, and ask ourselves the question, are we meeting those expectations? The answer is no. In the modern democracy, when you look at the America, for example, that we claim to be copying, they have standard there. The Republican, the Democrats, you will discover that when the Democrats happen to be in government in a particular period, and they have their manifesto, they have their programs, and the programs is not followed to the latter, the Americans will decide what to do. And that is when you see another government coming up, a political party coming into place. From time to time, you see Democrats, at times you see the Republicans. There are two factors, the challenges we have now. Now, to your question, the manifesto supposed to be based on the party programs. Party programs. Political party is supposed to be the bedrock. Political party is supposed to have a template for all their candidates or their political officials to follow. That's supposed to be the standard. But in Nigeria today, it is the political officials that is dictating for the political party. The political party is supposed to be used to be supreme, but now it is the political officials that is supreme. Party is an institution. If we have a solid foundation, solid political platform, that will dictate and that will guarantee the performance of the officials, their candidates, their office, their people in government. It is unfortunate that today promises, manifestos are just on paper. In practice, it is not there. You dare not do such in America. When you are presenting your manifesto, you are presenting what your programs are. You will even put date. By the time the expectation is not being met, it is impeachable offense. But here we count it to be jobs just for everybody, and nobody is asking questions. There is no structure to really address the political party or individual that are making promises that fail to accomplish it. So if there are penalties for the failure to accomplish what you promise people, but the politicians, we are using the resources of the sweat of our people to run this government. It's not as if we are using our personal resources to run the government. All right? So if you are managing the resources of Nigeria, these resources that people put their sweat to galvanize, and you are not managing it well, it is the responsibility and it behold on the electorate to say you pack your load. It is impossible offense, for God's sake.
All right. Yemi, let me come back to you for a bit. How do our politicians, just like you said, get away with some of these things? Beyond even the presidency, we've seen governors who make promises, very, like I said, when we started, bogus. And is it a lack of sophistication on the part of the electorate now? Because they say certain things and then you find many people believe in them. People are not asking the how, like you said, people are not looking at the antecedents. So what exactly do you think gives them the impetus to be able to make these, promises and then get there? Is it a lack of research on their part, to maybe they don't even have an understanding of what obtains? when they get there, so they get there and then they find out that the books and every other thing cannot finance the promises they've made? Or is it lack of sophistication? They know whatever we throw at them, they'll just take it and then they'll vote for us and then we'll be in office.
Let me just buttress first what Honorable Johnson Olufatoki said. I have worked with a campaign of an APC presidential aspirant right now. In his previous campaign, about 2 or 3 election cycles ago, they brought me in and I was asking questions. How, for instance? And he kept saying, see, don't worry about that one. We'll write manifesto when let's get this ticket first. We'll write manifesto later. He says manifesto. We have manifesto down. We'll just bring one for you people. And so the reason they can do this, to answer your question, is poverty. And it's not just material poverty, it's also poverty of the mind. My people perish because they lack knowledge, says the Bible. I was watching on Twitter some days ago how a gubernatorial candidate in Osho State was saying, don't worry, there's money, there's dollar, there's pounds. And they were hailing him. Some weeks ago, a gubernatorial aspirant in Ogun State also said the same thing on the campaign trail. And people were hailing him because they are hungry. Because they are hungry. And so they'll collect the money and they will, Shebi is just my one vote. It will not make him win. But when you multiply, I mean, the last gubernatorial election in Ogun State was won by less than 20,000 votes. So if you multiply it across, people saying, oh, it's just my one vote, it's just my one vote. Before you know it, somebody that does not have any concrete, cogent plan
gets into office.
And of course, it's like I said, it's not just material poverty. It is also the poverty of knowledge that, look, this 5,000, 10,000 naira that I just collected, I mean, we are all witnesses and we are all feeling the pinch of this inflation that is going on. What 10,000 naira can buy January, it cannot buy it now. So that 10,000 naira that you are going to collect to mortgage your vote is not going to last you less than a week. It's going to last you less than a week, basically. I don't care whichever strata of the socioeconomic ladder that you are. And so it's that poverty. And some political theorists have said that it's a cycle. The people are poor so that they can't elect good leaders, and good leaders cannot make bad leaders cannot make the people less poor. Look at China. In just a generation, when Deng came into power, he moved up to 500 billion people out of poverty. That is what good leadership does. Look at Lee Kuan Yew, although he did it for a bit longer before he could achieve it in Singapore. But if Deng and Lee Kuan Yew had to go every 4 years to go and be bribing people to vote for them, they are not, even if they have the best of intentions. Somebody said, politicians think of the next election. Statesmen think of the next generation. You cannot be a statesman if just to become governor you are spending 10 billion, 20 billion in bribing people to vote for you. The first thing you are going to do is, oh, we have the next election, let's get this 20 billion back so that we can use it to win the next election.
All right, we have to quickly go on a commercial break, but when we come back, you would complete that line of thought. We are trying to look at the issues because it's important that you listening to us also interrogate these issues. Also start asking the important questions because they will come. They'll come to your states. They'll be on your TV screens. You hear them on radio. I'm sure you hear them on this frequency too because we take. But it's important that you start asking the right questions. But stay with us. We'll be right back.
Splash FM 106.7.
Gbogbo ọ̀nà ìrìnnì níléeṣẹ́ àgbájọ Homes and Property Nigeria Limited. Àwọn ilẹ̀ wọn kọjá bẹ́ẹ̀ kẹ̀tíkẹ̀tí ló ń tà torí pé ó pọ̀ ju rẹ̀ lọ. Ilẹ̀ ìbára orílẹ̀ kọ́pàpẹ́ àgbòdo 200,000 ní tẹ́lẹ̀ báyìí lórí promo wọn 100,000 lẹ́sàn. Tẹ́sí mọ̀ ní pé iléeṣẹ́ àgbájọ kò ní jẹ́ ta ilẹ̀ inú igbó láéláé. Ilẹ̀ ń bẹ ní Ìdíòrì, Onígangan, Òṣèlẹ̀, kọ́pàpẹ́, Ṣòdẹ̀kẹ̀tìtò. Bẹ́ẹ̀ sì nílé oko wọn Igbó Ọ̀rà, Ìbára orílẹ̀ Ọ̀pẹ́jì 30,000 ní plọ̀tì kan. Bẹ́ẹ̀ bára plọ̀tì mẹ́ta ẹ gba ìdajì sí. Ó sì jẹ́ ékàlẹ́ra odidi lẹ́gbà sí. Táwọn tí ó bá yín gbìnrín oko yín sì wà nílẹ̀. Àwọn kan náà ni wọ́n bá yín tà á 39 NTA Road Ọgbẹ̀ Abẹ́òkúta 07044648338 07044648338. Ẹ jẹ́ ká gbé ìgbésẹ̀ àtẹ̀mí àti àwọn ìsìnkọ̀kọ̀ kù. Ogúnjọ́ oṣù tá a wà yìí láǹfààní yìí.
Ogun State Internal Revenue Service presents Ogun State Electronic Tax Administration Portal, OGETax. Now you can transact all your businesses online with Ogun State Internal Revenue Service by logging on to their website, ogirs.ogunstate.gov.ng. Click on self-service to get to the OGIRS portal. Transact your businesses either as a corporate organization or an individual. Follow the promptings, fill out the necessary details required to get your tax identification number. Existing organizations and individuals will need only to validate their accounts. Organizations can file their monthly and annual returns by downloading and filling the exact template, upload the data, and make payments, while individuals can also transact their stamp duty, direct assessment, and so on. Log on to ogirs.ogunstate.gov.ng and transact all your businesses online with Ogun State Internal Revenue Service.
Àṣeyọrí gan làgbà iṣẹ́ gbogbo aláṣeyọrí ayọ̀ aláṣeyọrí Class Home and Property Limited lónìí ọ̀pọ̀ ilẹ̀ wọn ti di wámútìrẹ́ báyìí lórí owó tí kò ga ju ara lọ. Randa extension hilltop máwùkọ́ àti kọ̀bàpẹ́ 100,000 ní plọ̀tì yìí bẹ́ẹ̀ sì ni lóko wọn ti di ọ̀pọ̀ yùkẹ́ mọ́lọ́kẹ̀dẹ̀ 25,000 ní plọ̀tì kan bẹ̀ kọ̀bàpẹ́ alábàtà Òṣèlẹ̀ 30,000 ní plọ̀tì ẹ̀ra plọ̀tì mẹ́ta kẹ́ẹ̀gbá ìdajì sí ó sì jẹ́ ékàlẹ́ra odidi lẹ́gbàsí pẹ̀lú ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ àǹfààní tẹ́ẹ̀jẹ̀ lórí ilé oko wọn torí pé àwọn onírà àti onímọ̀ ìjìnlẹ̀ ti wà níkàlẹ̀ láti là ń lọ́yẹ̀ lórí ìkàntẹ́gbìn sílé oko tẹ́ ẹ bára 4 Mọ̀túndì Abíọ́lá way Ìlẹ́gò Daily Express furniture ni wọ́n wà Ọlọ́ṣogbo Abẹ́òkúta Ògùn State 08033086557 08033086557.
Honey, must you go?
Babe, you know I must. Besides, you can always video call me.
Hey, what if your battery runs out?
I've got my power bank.
Hey, and when your power bank runs out?
Babe, I've got my laptop.
Okay, wait. What if your data runs out?
Babe, you know we never run out of data.
Never run out of data with Airtel Home Broadband Unlimited Ultra plans. Enjoy unlimited data with no speed cap plus extra data daily, so you never have to worry about running out. Visit www.airtel.com.ng/HBB to get started.
Babe, but I just left the house.
Yes, honey. It's video calling all the way.
Airtel, the smartphone network.
Irú ìdààmú wo leléyìí pàápàá.
Wo ibẹ̀ ni o jókòó sí kó má béèrè ìbéèrè tí ò ní túmọ̀. Dípò kó pa wọ́n. Mélòó ló ti pa báyìí?
1, 2. Ó dàbí pé mo ti pa 5.
Èmi tí mo ti pa bí 20. Ó mà dàbí pé a ti pa gbogbo wọn.
Alóṣèkéyọ̀ kan. Ẹ wo ibẹ̀ yẹn ló wà. Mo ti rí lẹ́gbẹ̀ẹ́ ibùsùn ọmọ mi.
Ẹ̀fọn mélòó ló fẹ́ pa? Ìwọ ló máa rẹ̀ gbẹ̀yìn. Ọ̀nà tó dájú jùlọ láti sáfẹ̀fọn àti láti dènà àrùn ibà ni sísùn sínú àwọn apẹ̀fọn lálaalẹ́ kó o sì rí dájú pé kò sí omi tó dárógún lágbègbè ẹ torí pé ibẹ̀ làwọn ẹ̀fọn ń pamọ́ sí. Ẹ jọ̀wọ́ ẹ̀yin aláboyún ẹ má fi ìtọ́jú oyún ṣeré o torí ọmọ tó ń bọ̀ láyé tẹ́ ò bá fẹ́ ní àrùn ibà ó kù sọ́wọ́ yín o. Darapọ̀ mọ́ ìpolongo àrùn ibà pòfó bẹ̀rẹ̀ pẹ̀lú mi nílẹ̀ Nàìjíríà ká lè jọ dẹ́kun àrùn ibà láti ní orílẹ̀-èdè Nàìjíríà tí kò ní àrùn ibà kó ipa tirẹ̀. Ìkéde yìí wá látọ̀dọ̀ ìjọba àpapọ̀ ilẹ̀ Nàìjíríà pẹ̀lú àjọṣepọ̀ àwọn àjọ tó ń gbógun ti àrùn ibà.
Talk radio. I listen to a lot of talk radio.
I like talk radio.
Welcome to your number one talk radio station.
Fasten your seatbelts.
This is your favorite station. Splash FM 106.7.
Panorama.
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 Panorama on Splash 106.7 FM.
Welcome back to Panorama on Splash 106.7 FM, the Integrity Station. We'll get to the phone lines shortly, but in the meantime, you can drop your comments on Twitter. We'll try to take your comments on Facebook as well, where we're live streaming at the moment. You can drop your comments there as well. WhatsApp is also another platform, 0817-555-1067. The WhatsApp line, if you like your contribution as this conversation progresses. So, Honorable Fatoki, this how do we hold these politicians to their promises? You know, many a times we have debates, we have these candidates come on radio, sometimes they come on TV, but how can the people, and at rally grants, it's not like you can ask questions. So how can this interrogation of all of these promises, how can it be done effectively such that people are now able to make informed decisions at the end?
Before you even get into the interrogation, at the point of electing, the first thing that you think of is what is the manifesto of the party. The manifesto of political parties we have in Nigeria now are almost the same. Because when you look at the historical background, the same set of people write the manifesto of the two political, the most political, the major political parties, the APC, the PDP. The same person, same group of people wrote it, and others were just copying, dubbing. So it is not. In fact, some that are even holding what they call the manifesto does not even understand. They cannot even interpret. But what is important is Nigerians should look inward and look at who am I going to vote for? What is the antecedents? What has you are vying for position of councillor, for example? What have been your role in your immediate environment? How have you been useful for your people in your environment? It's not your usefulness that we're talking about. It's not about dishing out money. No. In your environment where there are when there is light outreach, what have been your effort? When you talk of grading of roads, organizing the youth, educating people, usefulness. What has been your role? But you just come from the blue moon. Nobody knows who you are, and because you bring out money and you just want to vote for that person, it is not right. There should be change of mindset. Now, in the area of how do we interrogate the performance, how do we take up these political gladiators? The first thing is there should be restructuring of the political system in Nigeria. There should be restructuring. When you have political restructuring, then you go into economic restructuring and so on and so forth, social restructuring. We should build our institutions to ensure that institutions are stronger and powerful than individuals. Presently, we have strong individuals and weak institutions. That should change. Then when you have principled people that have the fear of God at the helms of affair, it is their responsibility. For example, the primary objective is acquiring wealth. We just close eyes when the envelope is rolling. So we should have very competent legislators to perform their role efficiently and effectively. They should ask questions. Then a good legislator should have their responsibility to report back to their constituency. What are the people of my constituency require? What do they need? Then you carry that message to the floor of the house. The executive should. The executive is not performing and not do their role. And that is impeachment. If the executive have that at the back, they are ineffective.
Twitter at Splash FM 1067, hashtag Panorama on Splash as you tweet. Facebook Splash FM 106.7. WhatsApp social media apps, drop us a comment. Our guests are Honorable Olufatoki as well as Yemi Ajala. Now, there's a cross-section of Nigerians who, for all the talk on vote buying, they still want to vote who they believe has the best chance at turning things around in the country. But they are confused as to how they decide exactly who that person is once these candidates emerge for primary. So let's say there's a confused voter who doesn't know who to pitch their tent with. Also because a part of them is told that, or they're sometimes told that they can waste their votes for a candidate who has little chance of winning, realistically. So how does that person lend support and maybe also canvass support for a candidate who they are convinced, or how do they even decide of the caliber of candidates that emerge from the primaries, who is the person to get there, and then how do they possibly give that person the best chance of winning?
In 2003, I was one of the 3 people that voted for Chief Ganifawa and me at my polling unit in NCP. So I understand how people can say, oh, you are throwing away your votes. One thing,
do you regret that?
No, I don't. I actually hold it as a badge of honor. That's why I'm saying it on air right now. I hold it as a badge of honor. Because I interrogated all these 6 candidates for that election. And I said, look, at this point, this is the person that Nigeria needed. And I think I was vindicated with the way and manner in which Chief Olusegun Obasanjo ruled for his second term. I mean, he removed about 5 governors during his tenure, during that second term. So, and I felt that Nigeria needed justice. Of course, he also did very good things, including the recapitalization of the bank. Your question also reminds me of how I was almost beaten up in 2011 while campaigning for President Muhammadu Buhari of CPC. Then I campaigned for him, then I wanted to vote for him then, and I did. Of course, he lost. But the issue is this, and this is part of blame for the political underdevelopment of this country, which has led to economic underdevelopment. That should know better. They are the ones that are supposed to drive the public discourse and public narrative to ensure that the country moves away from discussing parochial sentiments and prebendalism and move towards things that are concrete, that can push us to development. I believe that the Christmas break, before any presidential or gubernatorial election, that's when the election is won or lost. When people meet with their brothers, their cousins, their aunties over Christmas rice and New Year beer, that is when they discuss these things and convince one another that, look, this is my candidate that I'm going to vote for, and this is why I am voting for the person. So my advice to anybody that wants to vote out there is this: stand strong in your conviction. Like I said, only 20,000 people decided the last gubernatorial election. If you can convince 5 people, that means that if 4,000 of you of anybody that has a candidate that may not seem popular is to adopt the strategy that Barack Obama used to win the US presidency. So if you want to market somebody that may not be on the ballot of the major political, the people that wrote JAMB last year and are still at home because of ASU strike, target them, make sure that they come out, convince them. So over that December period, that's when you should focus your efforts. This is free political strategic advice I'm giving out this morning.
All right, well, let's get to the phone lines now. 0817 444 1067, 0704 400 1067, 0817 55. 1067. Let's make this our first call if we can manage to get to it. Just please stay on the line. Good morning.
Hello, good morning.
What's your name? Where are you calling from? All right, Falabi, go ahead, please.
If I have the privilege of asking any presidential candidate a question, my after that, every other thing will fall in place. Every other thing will fall in line. Now, let us look at the system of government we are practicing. It is the major problem that we are facing in this country. There is no good heart that you have when you want to become a president. You can never bring it into fulfillment just because of the structure. We are not practicing true federalism. Now, a president that will tell me that by the time he gets there, he will wholeheartedly do something about the structure. And I want the kind of structure must be reflective of a regional government where we have 6 regions. And those 6 regions must be autonomous. They must have that capacity to develop in their own space. And I believe the way to handle them if they refuse to perform what they tell us that they refuse is this. If it is possible, if we can be with them and ensure that they put all these things in white and black, especially the one I've just talked about, and they must sign it and make it as an oath that if they refuse the need pertaining to that, we can do this kind of thing, we can take this kind of step against them. Maybe we can go to the law court to challenge them if it is permitted. I think that will help.
This morning, 0704 400 1067, 0817 444 1067, 0705 050 1067. Those are the phone lines to be a part of the program this morning. So, here is the issue of restructuring there. How important is this discussion?
Now, the question is this. There is need to reduce the cost of governance. What goes into salaries and allowances is more than what we were using for capital development. Now, if we have regional government, parliamentary system of government, for example, we'll be able to save a lot of money, and the regions will develop fastly. There will be the rivalry will be, the competition will be positive. All regions will want to perform. We want to use their resources, available resources, to develop, and jobs will be created. Now there's no job. Why? Because all the states are just looking for the allocation from the federal, pay the salaries, and put something in your pocket and go away. The road project, the provision of social amenities is a myth and not reality. So to get it right, let us try parliamentary system of government. Let us have the regions. Let's have head of the regions. Let us grow in our own pace. During the Awolowo period, you had farm settlements. That is where we had cocoa house, and you can. But today, agriculture is to the background. Nobody is doing anything about it.
All right.
Forward. We are not developing. We are only building, creating miscreants. Graduates riding Okada because there's no means of livelihood. A good government should look into how to have job security.
Another edition of this program, we also look at the things we should interrogate about other. We talk about primary schools. Let's just touch on this as well. What should we also be interrogating when it comes to all of these other offices? The senators, the House of Rep members. I was still saying on Twitter a few days ago that I've names of the lawmakers, that's the senators and the House of Rep members in Ogun State. The names most times while we focus a lot on who becomes the governor, who becomes the president, all of these other offices go away with little scrutiny. So what should we also be interrogating?
It's unfortunately for us, like it has been said, we have to get the politics right. The introduction of constituency projects has made us lose sight of the real job of the legislature. So people go in and say, that rep is not doing anything. We can't see his influence because he's supposed to be coming home every elites having reneged on their parts in nation building. They are the ones that are supposed to be grilling this CDA meetings. There is nothing that stops an House of Rep or a bi-monthly basis or a quarterly basis to talk about the things that are and the governors, of course, they get away with blue murder. Everybody blames the president. And they blame the president, whereas they are supposed to be blaming the governors. The Zamfara State governor presently did not pay the WAEC fee for the students. But last month, he bought 260 new cars for traditional rulers. Primary school. Primary school now is their responsibility. Secondary school is also their responsibility. If we have out of school children, because you see some of our elites, they will come on radio, write inside the newspaper, write on social media, and they will blame the president for what they should be blaming the governors for. So somebody else that is not even well learned or well read or does not have a master's degree or PhD will also parrot those things that are not supposed to be. One presidential aspirant said, the political structure of the country will not allow you to do that. You are the president. Like you said, the legislators are the one that can amend the constitution. The legislators are the only people, for instance, that can address the IPOB prayer of a referendum. Buhari cannot. If it does it, it is illegal. The Yoruba group, it's in the news today, the Yoruba groups are also saying they want a Yoruba referendum. The only group that can do that is the federal legislators. So we need to ask our questions. This person that is going to Abuja, is he going to represent a shift, a change in the political structure? Will the person, for instance, vote for a reduction in the power of the federal government? Mr. Dele Ayodo advocates for the abrogation of the governorship seats. Let's just have local government and federal government, and I agree with him. So we that's one. Get into Okemoson, and we not say when I was in Ife, one of the the ones that pays because why are they spending so much to go into sure it's part of our political discourse? We need to ensure that, look, political finance presidential campaign in UK, in US, and in other developed democracy, they actually have to audit it and publish those audited reports.
Right, and that is under the jurisdiction of INEC?
INEC, yes. So, which federal lawmaker will go and strengthen the INEC Act to do
on our second commercial break now, but when we come back, we have messages, comments on WhatsApp. We'll take your comments and then we'll proceed to the next segment of the show. But I think we should appreciate Yemi Ajala
for with us this morning. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right, we'll see you after this time out. Please stay with us.
Don't dare touch that dial. It's Splash, your integrity station.
Àjọǹjẹ tó dáa kọ́kọ́ ẹ̀ ní ó balẹ̀. Tónílé tàlejò tó wọ̀lú Abẹ́òkúta. Bí a ti béèrè pé ibo ni ilé oúnjẹ ìgbàlódé táwọn ti lè jẹ oúnjẹ gidi. Má dojú tì mí Olúwa fún. Ńlá àwọn èèyàn ń júwe. Kò lè má rí bẹ́ẹ̀. Tọ́rọ̀jọ́ wọn ti pẹ́ nínú kápító oúnjẹ aládìídùn. Àgbékalẹ̀ ọ̀tún. Tílé oúnjẹ má dojú tì mí Olúwa gbé wọ̀. Kò lẹ́lẹ́gbẹ́. Bẹ́ẹ̀ni tẹ́bi òpá gan bá wọlé síbẹ̀. Yóò fẹ́ jẹun níṣá. Pẹ̀láwọn fried rice àti jollof rice tó rẹ̀ dòdò nínú glass. Wá jẹ mí lẹ̀fọ́ ẹlẹ́gùsí àtẹ̀fọ́ rírò wí. Ewédú àti gbẹ̀gìrì ògbẹ́yìn. Òkèlè lóríṣiríṣi. Àjàjàjà àwọn catfish wẹ̀láwẹ̀lá. Tilapia fish. Ògúnfẹ̀ àti káwọ́mì tìrẹ́rì gidigidi. Má dojú tì mí Olúwa foods. Do you want the best local or international dishes? We got you covered as we give you the best. When it comes to indoor and outdoor catering services, we also have bar where you can get any drink of your choice. Ẹ kàn sí wa lónìí. Má dojú tì mí Olúwa food house. So wà number 1 Abiola Way. Má dojú tì mí junction. Abẹ́òkúta ìpínlẹ̀ Ògùn. Telephone 0806-522-6442. Má dojú tì mí Olúwa foods. Dishing out the best. Considering your budget.
One na dey go sef, one na body go dey dry for stand upon say bike don scarce or people wey dey bus stop plenty. You come wait so tey your appointment don pass. Make una mind dey coole. Akoride na better option for every corner wey dey Abeokuta as e big reach. No fear o. Anything wey be safety dey assured. On a ride go dey go siriri. The riders plus the passengers dem get security wey tanda gidiga. Wait una still dey wait for. Go download the app on Google Play Store. Now, if na iOS, e still dey go immediately. Na 500 naira bonus go stand for on a happy bam. Aqua Ride. We shaking money on a go carry body reach the destination. We don't mind gang. No dey waste time. Oya sharply join body for the website www.aquaride.ng. No come forget say on a go download the app on Google Play Store and iOS on a security data dagidiba. Aqua Ride. Our riders them get identification helmet plus jacket. We get number. Aqua Ride. It is safe. It is secure. It's still on the affordable.
Paná ẹ̀ ó yá ẹ tún kìkì ẹ̀ ẹ rè sí ẹ̀.
ẹ má bínú ẹjẹ ń sáré yọ ọsẹ fún mọ́tò yìí. kí ló dé? ó dàbí wípé bátìrì ló ń yọ mí lẹ́nu. àrè ó lè bí bẹ́ẹ̀jì ní yín lẹ́nu.
tí bátìrì bá ń yọ ọkọ̀ lẹ́nu ẹ wàá mọ̀nà ilé iṣẹ́ Adco Die-Hard battery níbi tí wọ́n ti ń ta ojúlówó bátìrì mọ́tò.
ìkan náà ni gbogbo àwọn tó ń ta bátìrì ó ti sú mi.
padà Adco Die-Hard battery tayọ àwọn ẹlẹgbẹ́ wọn nítorí bẹ́ẹ̀ mi díje ní gbogbo bátìrì téèyàn bá rà lọ́dọ̀ wọn. ṣẹ̀ṣẹ̀ṣẹ̀ báyìí nínú àwọn oníbàárà wọn ń dùn nítorí kò sí pé mọ́tò ń paná láàrin títì mọ́. kò sí irú bátìrì tẹ̀ ń wá tí ò sí lọ́dọ̀ wọn bíi 40 amps 60 amps 75 àti 100 amps battery lówó tí ò kàn. Adco Industries USA Nigeria Limited ló ṣe ojúlówó Adco Die-Hard battery.
níbo wá ní ilé iṣẹ́ Adco Die-Hard battery wà báyìí.
wọ́n wà ní nọ́mbà 15 Oníkólóbó Abẹ́òkúta telephone
0703-928-5741 tàbí 0703-116-4983.
ó yá nìṣó níbẹ̀ kó lọ ra battery ní kíákíá. Adco Die-Hard battery ojúlówó gbà.
ẹ̀gbọ́n ta ni àníta ló sọ pé òun ò mọ̀. wọ́n lé wọn ò lè bá. òtítọ́ inú ìfẹ́ àti ọ̀yàyà àpọ́nlé tí ò láfiwé. àwọn òṣìṣẹ́ ilé ìta fóònù sí mọ̀. gan ló mára tóníbàárà pẹ̀sẹ̀. ilé ìta fóònù sí mọ̀. ojúlówó pọ́nbélé. làwọn ẹ̀rọ ìbánisọ̀rọ̀ tẹ́ ẹ bá rà níbẹ̀. àlùbáríkà ló gorí iṣẹ́ wọn. òun ìbùkún ọlọ́run tó múni ńlá. ló fà á tó fi jẹ́ pé ẹ̀dínwó tí ò láfiwé. ní gbogbo àwọn ẹ̀rọ ìbánisọ̀rọ̀ tẹ́ ẹ bá rà ní sí mọ̀. bí owó tó fẹ́ fira fóònù ò bá tí ì pèsè ọ lọ́wọ́. lọ́sàn-án bá tó wà sílé ìta fóònù sí mọ̀. lọ́wọ́ kan wàá gba ẹ̀rọ ìbánisọ̀rọ̀ tó wọ̀ ọ́. wọ́n máa wá sanwó tó kù ní san díẹ̀díẹ̀. tó bá ṣe pé èmi lẹ́yìn ni. ilé ìta fóònù sí mọ̀ ọ̀gán táyé ń gba tiẹ̀ yìí. máa sọ fẹ́nìkan. máa tún sọ fẹ́nìkan. ó yá tún já jọ sọ fẹ́nìkan. bí òkè téńté lókè ìléwó ni ilé ìta fóònù sí mọ̀ wà. bí dájú pé òkè yẹn gan ló gbà lọ. tún ilé ìta fóònù sí mọ̀ kankan ò sí ń sàlẹ̀. lókè ìléwó sí mọ̀ kan tún wà ní Láfẹnwá. ládojúkọ First Bank. pé 09060846451. sí mọ̀.
eléyìí gángan nípa bá ṣe báyìí adùn ní iléeṣẹ́ Atlayo Estate and Homes Limited àǹfààní yìí kọjá bẹ́ẹ̀ ilẹ̀ oníkẹ̀kàn àti ilẹ̀ ìyànàgún pàtí randa 150,000 ní bẹ́ẹ̀ sì ni ilẹ̀ ń bẹ ní òbúwa òwú ládìrín extension akíjọ́rìlàlà ilẹ̀ Atlayo Glorious Point Estate náà ń ta wàràwàrà. adùn ibẹ̀ gan-an ni wípé ẹni méje mìíràn yóò tún fi ọ̀kadà ṣe ìfàjẹ́ lórí àwọn ilé wọn ẹ ṣá máa gba rìsíìtì ilé oko wọn alábàtìrìnlẹ̀ ìṣìún múlọ́gẹ̀dẹ̀ kọ́bàpẹ́ 30,000 ní plọ̀tì bẹ́ẹ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀ sì ni ilé oko wọn tó wà ní pàkútì lọ́ba dá oko 35,000 ní plọ̀tì bẹ́ẹ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀ bá ti ra plọ̀tì mẹ́ta ẹ gba ìdajì sí i bó sì jẹ́ éèkà lẹ́ra ẹ gbòdìdì sí i àwọn onímọ̀ sì ti wà ńlẹ̀ láti ṣàlàyé fún yín lórí ilé oko tí ò bọ̀ oko yín mu lọ́lọ́ báyìí ẹni yòówù tó bá ti ra ilé oko níléeṣẹ́ Atlayo ẹ mọ́ tọ́jú rìsíìtì yín torí pé ẹni márùn ọ̀tọ̀ọ̀tọ̀ náà fi ọ̀kadà ṣèpàjẹ́ 30 ilé ìjàlódébú Lagos Abẹ́òkúta expressway lọ́nà tó lọ sí Biori Láfẹnwá Abẹ́òkúta 08138454500 08138454500. ó yá àǹfààní yìí kò gbọdọ̀ pẹ̀lú torí pé mo ti donílẹ̀ mo ti daláyọ̀ àǹfààní yìí ó pin lógúnjọ́ oṣù táwọn.
Talk radio. I listen to a lot of talk radio.
I like talk radio.
Welcome to your number one talk radio station.
Fasten your seatbelts.
This is your favorite station.
Splash FM 106.7.
Panorama.
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 Panorama. Panorama on Splash 106.7 FM.
Welcome back. This is Panorama on Splash 106.7 FM. Thank you for staying with us through that commercial break. So we'll get to the messages on social media now.
On WhatsApp, I have this one from Ijala Wali from Olosun Estate. He says, my question goes to your guest. Don't you think improper nomination of wrong candidates by political parties, especially political leaders across Nigeria, led us to where we are? Instead of enjoying dividends of democracy, we are witnessing something else. This next comment is from Anu from Kuto. Anu says, good morning, Splash. Honorable Fatoki and Mr. Yemi there. Promises made and manifestos read by these politicians vying for positions are just promises written on paper and said with mouth, not implemented. An example is the emergence of Buhari administration in 2015. We were told that they will get the issue of ASU strike settled and even increase the strength of the Naira. But now the opposite is the case. There is repetition of manifestos by all aspirants. None of them can develop a new manifestos except from the ones we know before. This is to tell you that they are just birds of a feather flocking together. 2023 is around the corner. Nigeria and Nigerians must think and do some reviews of these aspirants vying for positions in the country. Next up is Balogun from Abeokuta, who says the only solution is to make politics less lucrative because all these politicians are the same. They see politics as a business and an avenue to corruptly enrich themselves. An average Nigerian politician will not perform because he knows how much he has spent in buying the votes of delegates and electorates at the primary and general elections, respectively. He'll have to recoup political ambition. Keeping quiet of who is who in the political arena is callous and uncalled for. The barbaric act and those responsible for the barbarity must be dealt with accordingly. Those who killed by the sword must also be killed by the sword. The Constitution is clear and does not give power to any individual to take lives. May God have mercy. I assume he's referring to the murder of Deborah.
I think that's all across board as well, but some greetings on Facebook. Olua Fikola Miofemi Emmanuel Benjamin Adebody Ade Johnson. Thank you very much. We appreciate you for those comments. Don't Radio Garden, you can listen to us. XLR, you can listen to us. Our website, www.splashfm1067.com. is also another avenue. Phone lines seem to be buzzing now. But let's get to the second segment of the program now. We still have Honorable Olufatoki with us, and I have the Nigerian Tribune newspaper here.
I've got Vanguard.
I'll start with the headlines on the front page. Screening. APC aspirants face criminal records, certificate scrutiny. With the riders, party screens 145 governor, 351 National Assembly aspirants. State Assembly screening under threat. Chieftains decry shoddy arrangements. Return to cabinet. Uncertainty over fate. 70 samples return negative. Nnamdi Kanu unhappy over killing home order in Southeast, says police kill 5 cops in Bayelsa. Prophet Muhammad was insulted while alive. He didn't incite anybody to kill. As according to Gumi. With the riders, northern governors, IPAN condemned as please deny online reports linking suspects to Niger Republic. Sokoto government suspend resumption of schools by 1 week. Lawlessness must not be swept under the carpet. Northern Can. New money laundering law. Inbound, outbound travelers to forfeit undisclosed funds. With the rider, Nigeria prohibits shell banking operations, anonymous accounts. Hackers can now unlock start vehicle engines wirelessly. NCC alert. Collapsing port. NPA may revoke concession agreement of 5 terminal operators. How open defecation fuels polio.
The lead story is on 2023, APC governors, senators draw battle line over Lawan. Intrigues heighten as presidential aspirants sponsor 7 co-contestants. Party concludes screening of governors, senatorial candidates. More from Vanguard's front page. Court halts sharing of derivation funds to oil-producing states. Lagos Motor Park crisis. NURTW orders MC Oluomo to vacate office complex. On train attack, bandits release pregnant woman. It's been over a month since those kidnapped, abducted on the Kaduna-Abuja train have been in captivity. 2023, we want Yoruba referendum, not interim government. That's according to a group. Oshomole undergoes APC senatorial screening. Hackers can now unlock steel vehicles. NCC warns Nigerians. Erufai says on 2023, Amechi gave us money, helped when quizzed by DSS. Unemployment, pension savings withdrawals reverse 4-year trend as withdrawals by sacked workers rise 23.7%. NECA, TUC react, seek urgent government intervention. Deborah, none of my 7 children will go to school again, says mother. Ukraine-Russia war, presidential power initiative faces new hurdles. That's the front page of Vanguard for you.
All right, let's start with this story from met with Nnamdi Kanu, the detained leader of IPOB, and he said Nnamdi Kanu is unhappy with the killings and enforcement of a protracted stay-at-home order in the southeast. The stay-at-home with Kanu during a visit to the proscribed IPOB leader in his detention facility on Friday in Abuja. Well, that visit was met with mixed feelings on social media, why some felt that that is the way to go. Some others likened it to a northern governor in a picture. What's your own take? Where do you stand?
Yeah, it's part of executive responsibility to find means of getting peace in the state. So the decision of the governor to meet the IPOB president, there's nothing wrong with that. But the message that he brought is what is questionable. If he met the IPOB head and the man said he's not happy with the sit-at-home order, okay, he's supposed to ask him, is the man happy with his detention unlawfully for a long period of time without trial? He didn't say anything about that. And Nnamdi will not tell you he's not happy. I mean, he's happy. But definitely, he need quite all right that what his followership are doing, they're doing it not just for the sake of Kanu, but they're doing it for the objective that they are putting forward. They will do what they wanted.
But it went as far as saying that if he has an opportunity to address them via broadcast, they will happily do it.
And they can arrange that. Let the government can easily do that. Let him address Nigerians, and I can tell you, the Kanu will not to do that, because unless otherwise, if there's need for peace, all right, but there's also need for the government to listen to the yearnings of Nigerians. How can we have one Nigeria? How can we move forward? How can we're supposed to? There should be fairness in everything we do. What exactly is Kanu and his followership? What are they requesting for? Good governance. I don't think they're asking for too much.
All right, let's now look at an update or a development in the story of Deborah. May her soul rest in peace. This story here says Mrs. Alheri Emmanuel, mother of Deborah, who was gruesomely murdered by a mob at Shehu Shagari College of Education, Sokoto, by her schoolmates last Thursday, has vowed never to allow any of her remaining 7 children go to school again to avoid the fate that befell her promising daughter. This is also as her husband declared that as a good Christian, he and the family had resolved not to seek any redress from court over the loss of their daughter, but leave everything to God. One cannot exactly blame the parents who are grieving in this time, but what does this mean really? I mean, what's your take on this really?
It is a serious pain. The family are having that pain, and there will be many pronouncements. But that does not imply that will be actualized. If at this particular point in time, they have a serious challenge, and they need assistance and prayer of Nigerians. But the fact of the matter is this: the father that of Deborah said no government officials have even visited them. That is personally even handle the receipt of and burying of his daughter. And we have governor there, for God's sake. What is the government doing? 2, there is one of the Islamic clerics, that released a video is viral in the news, saying that the minimum punishment for blasphemy of the Muhammad is killing. That person is in Nigeria. What has government done to it?
Are you referring to Bashir Ahmed?
I don't even know his name, but it's on here. But let me give it to Gumi, that said no to killing. Islamic stand for peace. If that is the position, it's like the young lady is just making an opinion, a correction. Like, okay, if we have was that platform of Panorama, for example, and somebody is just saying there are rules that could govern every WhatsApp that is opened, and she's just advised that religious issue should not be discussed on the platform that is meant for students. That was the only accusation, the only offense, and the young lady was stoned to death. It is barbaric and should be totally rejected.
Well, this issue has been discussed. It was discussed last Friday, and even on Man and the Law on Saturday as well. Desmond Nwachukwu also dwelt on it as well. But it's a developing story, really.
And it's not a story one can move on from swiftly,
yes,
given the barbaric, shocking nature
of it. And that's why when we started, I did mention that it's important that we interrogate whatever news or whatever we see online, because some people will also use this period and what is happening now to stoke tensions along ethnic and religious line as well.
Right.
That's what brings me to this one. The Nigerian Police Force, Sokoto State Command, has denied some media online reports alleging that a top police source confirmed that one of the suspects in the killing of Deborah Emmanuel is an intruder from Niger Republic. The command described the report, credited to one of the online platforms, as fake news, while calling on all media outlets and the public to be an advocate of peace. The command spokesman, ASP Sanusi Abubakar, who stated this in a press statement, said the command is therefore using this medium to reaffirm that the above fabricated publication is falsehood and cannot be substantiated. Another issue would be why this has continued. Because from time to someone is accused of blasphemy, and before you know it, person is mobbed, sometimes burnt beyond recognition. So why does it seem like it happens, despite the fact that many clerics will come out to say, well, that is not the way of, Islam. Many Muslims also come out to say, well, this is not how it should be. This is not what
I think the solution is enlightenment, public enlightenment and education. The clerics, the Christian and the Islamic clerics should have the guidelines of what to say. They should be guided. They should be educated. Someone cannot say because you are a pastor or you are imam, you are free to say or pass any message, not minding the effect of that message. All right? Messages that are incriminating, encouraging this type of acts should be discouraged. So there's need for public education. There's need for government. Each state should have law that will guide against such.
Well, the speed with which people believed the story of the police saying the suspect or one of the suspects or the only suspect who was apprehended is from Niger Republic and not Sokoto, the speed with which people believe that story, doesn't it show a lack of faith and trust in the Nigerian police or even the judicial system as a whole? And isn't there also grounds for that lack of faith? Given that, as we've said, Deborah's case is one of many.
Mm-hmm.
There is a history of several people in the north, often Christians, who have been murdered, lynched, burnt for alleged blasphemy. And we never seem to resolve it. We only seem to get outraged until the next incident happens. And in the past, the killers have either not been apprehended, or even in Bridget Agbaime's case, the killers were apprehended and then they were released by the state government. Mm-hmm. So isn't this going to be an endless cycle that will continue until we address the root cause, which is that even if someone from another religion were to blaspheme against your religion, that should not attract death or murder as a punishment? How are we going to address this?
Very simple. Okay, like the issue of Deborah. If the government failed to ensure justice to prevail, then perpetrators or the people in their mindset will continue to do it, because they know that when they do it, they will go away, they'll do away with it.
Right.
And I mentioned the issue of the father of this girl said no government officials have even shown interest or visited them. That is a serious issue. If we have government there, even the local government chairman have responsibility to have visited the family and look at how to soften their pains, and probably they are even supposed to be the one that will, handle the burial of that lady. Then what happens to those that were put in cell? Don't also rule out the possibility that the riot that happened, that is happening, where the mob people are saying those that were they should be released or so. Who told you that it is not being sponsored by some people? So the issue is, if we all agree that this kind of issue should not be encouraged, then there should be change of mindset. There should be public enlightenment. There should the clerics, the religious, the Christian religious, Muslim religion alike should be well educated, and there should be guidelines. And whoever, for God, like, how can somebody say if there's a blasphemy, you and there's a video, and you throw the video out.
All right. Well, in a related development, also lynching and burning. 4 persons allegedly involved in the lynching and burning of a Lagos-based sound engineer identified as Dave at Admiralty Way, Lekki Phase 1 area of Lagos have been arrested by police operatives. According to reports, the father of 2 was attacked, lynched by commercial motorcyclists on Thursday night. I mean, this story is just, it's sort of mostly been subsumed by Deborah's story too, but is this a mere case of jungle justice, which definitely is an issue in Nigeria? Nigerians will never forget the lynching of the Alu 4. That is probably the most, unfortunately, the most memorable lynching that I can recall in Nigerian history. But is this a mere case of jungle justice, something else that we also need to address?
Well, if you, there's an existing law that address that. Jungle justice is not allowed by law. If even if you catch a robber or thief red-handed, what the community should do is to hand over such person to the police. You can do the follow-up to ensure that justice is done. All right. So, but a situation where somebody that you see at the doorstep of a neighbor, you assume you want to break into the house and steal. That might be an assumption. But when you apprehend such person, such individual should be questioned by law enforcement agents. Mob action, unnecessary killing should be discouraged. It is uncivilized and should be discouraged.
And these issues, even the intriguing part is that many of those that contribute into lynching that person do not even know what the person has done or has done.
That's what I just mentioned.
You just get there and then you find out that they are beating someone and then deterrents are made out of people who are caught by
otherwise
the police.
They'll be emboldened.
And publicly also let people know if a case has been taken to court, by the time decisions are made or the judgment is made, ensure that it circulates.
It has happened. It has happened. Just to buttress your point, where there are differences between 2 people, and that person is just looking for, okay, he has slapped me, he has unleashed terror on me, I have to have revenge. And in the public place, where the 2 of them are not known, he just starts shouting, ole, 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 thief. And before you know it, he started beating the guy until he lost his life. Before they know, because, but if people that, that really got there first, handle the person, and question him, what has it robbed? I mean, what is there that he took from you? And there are questions. If you cannot even handle it, take that person to the law enforcement agents. They will do their job.
Right. I mean, this story is unusual. The story of Dave is unusual in the sense that oftentimes when you hear of jungle justice, it's mostly thefts that the person who is beaten is accused of, or some crime. But here, all we know is that it appears to be a misunderstanding over 100 naira, and that's enough to warrant beating and burning. But we hope that justice is done in this instance.
All right, let's check out this story. Your government gives park managers 20-point operational guidelines with the riders, bans PMS members from brandishing sticks, consuming hard drugs, wearing unauthorized vests. We have to love what government wants. Auxiliary. And my question is, why has it taken so long? Even for those of us that are not based in Oyo State, especially at the capital, Ibadan, we hear tales of how these PMS guys, run riots They even have this customary red cap that they wear. And auxiliaries convoy sometimes looks like that of a governor. So it then looked as if there is a government within a government, like, the PMS chairman or what have you is also running another government within the state. There was an issue in Iwo Road several months ago where they attacked a particular, but I think eventually the guy lost his life at the end of the day. There's been several issues of some of these attacks, of the high-handedness of these park management guys. So why did Governor Shemakinde, why did he wait for this long before releasing an operational guideline?
Yeah, it is better late than never. But the issue of the matter is that those so-called, I don't know the name to give them. I don't want to say miscreants. I don't want to say thugs. They are being used by politicians. So when they are doing things that are favorable to the politicians, there wouldn't be any question. But when they do and it is about to affect the government, then they react. Where there are normal settings, hooliganism, thuggery should be discouraged, should be totally abolished. But instead of doing that, the politicians, we are encouraging it. Those are a part of the reason why we are calling for restructuring. Let that be a conference, either independent national conference or delegated conference. Let that be conference. Let us discuss on how to move this nation forward. We need it. It must happen for us to move forward.
Another question I want to ask is, these governors rebrand, they get there and say, Sheyi Makinde, for instance, says, I'm abolishing NURTW and I'm creating the PMS, which has also happened in Lagos now. But it's usually 6 and after.
It's just change of name.
Old wine in new bottle.
It's just change of name. It's the same set of people.
So what's the point in it's a situation here in Ogun State as well? What's the point in saying we're rebranding and then they are still the same set of guys?
The question is, why is governors of the state showing interest who become the union president of institutions? Why? It's because they're using them for ulterior and selfish motive. Why is the governors or politicians making use of the people in the parks and garages? Why? Why are they encouraging them? Why are they financing it? Simple question, simple answer. For their selfish advantage. There should be change of mindset. There should be change of the system. We should have strong institutions. And to achieve that, there must be restructuring. To have restructuring, there must be conference. The best bet is national conference. Let people, let the leaders, let the representative of market women, let the teachers, the lecturers, let everybody come together and discuss how to move this nation forward.
All right, contribute to our discussion as we analyze the headlines from the newspapers on From the Pages. This is From the Pages, the second and final segment of Panorama on the Integrity Station, Splash 106.7 FM. Sending your contributions to our WhatsApp number 0817-555-1067. You can also send them in to our Facebook live stream. If you search for Splash FM 106.7, you find us live streaming and you can comment there. You can also tweet at us at Splash FM 1067. Hashtag Panorama on Splash. As you tweet, we've read the front pages of Vanguard and Nigerian Tribune, and we're going in a little more in depth on some of the stories that we're looking at from the newspapers. Now, up next is Section 84, subsection 12, which is again is subject of litigation. According to Premium Times, President Muhammadu Buhari and the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice Abubakar Malami have filed a suit at the Supreme Court seeking an interpretation of the controversial clause in the Electoral Amendment Act 2022. In the suit filed on 29th of April, they listed the National Assembly as the sole defendant, according to a report by Sahara Reporters. Shortly after signing that section into law, Mr. Buhari had urged the Parliament to delete the controversial 84 subsection 12 says no political appointee at any level shall be a voting delegate or be voted for. Now, this section, we definitely haven't seen the last of it. The most recent development before this one was, the resignation of the president's ministers. That was after lots of commissioners had resigned, acting on the orders of their principal, the governors. The president finally said the same thing, and even Mr. Malami fell victim to it as well. He had to resign. He had to drop his aspirations. What is the purpose of this section? Section 84, subsection 12, which bars political appointees from voting or being voted for at conventions or congresses. What is the purpose of that section in the first place?
Thank you. Well, if you are aspiring for a position and you are in an appointment, you are an appointee or civil servant, it has, by convention, it's not a new law. It has been in operation, and the why I support it is you are aspiring for another position, right? So your concentration will be on how to win that election. So the job that you are paid for will be neglected. So there's nothing wrong. You should leave. You should resign and face what you. Is also another area is it shows seriousness on the part of whoever want to aspire. You can imagine when the president now pronounced. That is why I said we have strong leaders are supposed to have resigned. That's okay. Let me petition the issue of contesting. I will face my job. It shows the unseriousness on the part of these people. So there should be seriousness. The difference, some people will ask, okay, what of the elected people that want to recontest? They are recontesting, they are in the office, and there cannot be vacuum there. Because elected person cannot be changed within a short period of time. There are processes. But a minister can be replaced within 4 or 5 days if the president decides so. So the best bet if you are aspiring for a position and you are an appointee, you must leave.
Okay, well, according to this story, some weeks ago, a federal high court had backed the AGF, that's the Federal High Court in Umuahia, Abia State, and struck out that section. But another court, that's the Court of Appeal in Abuja, in a rather confusing judgment, according to the story, set aside the Federal High Court judgment while also agreeing with the trial court that the new provision is unconstitutional. You said yourself that this already exists in the law. The section of the law that is often cited to prove that this section is redundant or maybe tautological is the one that says political appointees, yes, must resign 30 days to the election. Are they the same thing? 30 days to the election,
yes,
and
that is why
before the Congress.
That is why the National Assembly amended that clause to give that you must resign before the primaries, the primary election. And that is normal. It's normal.
Even though there's already the existence of the law that says
30
to
days
resign
to
30 days.
Yes. The law are made for man and not man for law. Law cannot be static. Law can evolving.
Is there a difference if you resign 30 days before the election and if you resign before the primaries? Is there a difference? Is there something one achieves and the other doesn't?
The one that is the Constitution says 30 days before election.
Right.
But the amended copy, the one.
I'm saying that doesn't make any difference whether the political appointee resigns 30 days before election or before primaries.
The one that says resign before the primaries, for variety, the one that said 30 days before election. But it's the latest.
For you to have your say on the program this morning. We have looked at quite a number of stories. You can contribute to whichever tickles your fancy. 0704-400-1067, 817-444-1067, 817-555-1067. Also doubles as the WhatsApp portal as well. Let's start with this line now. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Nicholas.
Yeah, this is Nicholas.
Good morning,
happy Monday to the Splash family. You see, whether we like it or not, profiling is part of human existence. So that is why we have tall, short, slim, fat. When you listen to the news and you hear that some people have been arrested for cocaine, there's a part of this country your mind goes to. When you hear that some people have been deported from Italy, the price of Nigerian women, there's a part of this country your mind goes to. So whatever why Mohammed or NBC tells us, unless we want to dagger our conscience, the truth is that the people who killed Dave in Lagos, they share consanguinity with those who killed Deborah. And they were the ones who were involved in the killing in Jos in 1945, in Kanu in 1953, in the whole of the North in 1966, before we suffered a bitter civil war. They were the same people. They are also related to those who destroyed Abuja in 2001 because Nigeria was to host a beauty pageant. Luckily, the winner of that year's pageant was from Turkey. It was not an accident that the judges gave it to a Turkish woman. They were the same people who are linked to the killing of Dickiness Unice in Kubwa in 2016. Anybody who believes the people who slayed Deborah in Sokoto will be brought to book, lacks knowledge of Nigeria's socio-political history. And it's unfortunate we are not even looking at the elites in the north who have justified the killing. It has been reported, some of the prominent sheikhs and individuals in the north have said that is the least you can do. So you can see how that you can see why we are trapped in this country. Take it or leave it, Nigeria was signed into an organization of Islamic community, and we claim to be a secular state. So you can see the confusion that the people in the north, especially the non-Muslims, can suffer from. But now there is a video going on some people, some couples in the north. Okay, what concerns Igbo shops with Deborah? They were almost trying. The people who killed Deborah, they were having an education. They were not monsters who were in the forest. The young men who killed this innocent girl were in. Where else can you get an education except in a tertiary institution? Is it in the market? Is it in the forest with white animals? Is it in jail? Until we know what we want in this country, if we want to be together and learn how to be together with ourselves, even the president took time to condemn this killing. The article condemned and removed the truth. So now we have a potential commander-in-chief who is even scared of condemning a murder. But there's Islam in Senegal, there's Islam in Indonesia, there's Islam in Benin. Why is the northern brand of this Islam having issues with some of the people? I'm not saying the Muslims are terrorists, but we know that there are some Islamic terrorist groups on earth. Unless we want to lie to our text. What do I say?
Thank you very much, Nicholas.
These kind of things continue to happen in this country because we are being forced to be united. The North and the South are never homogeneous. By all standards, be it religion, be it belief, be it our way of life. So we are only forcing problems on us. And that's why Nigeria must be negotiated. That is why if we have to stay together, it must be fine. And if we have to part our ways, so be it. It's nothing bad in that. We have countries that are just 1.3 million people. Estonia is there. Even Luxembourg is very small in population. And they are doing very fine. So I'm not seeing any basis for this union that is not working. This union that we continue to talk about was all day and night. So something has to be done about it. If a leader like Usman Dampodio could preach such a bad gospel that they must kill whoever insults the prophet or God. Can you fight for God? Then what do we expect? When Atiku, an aspirant for the presidential office, we have to delete his tweet just because. When even Bola Tinubu will be telling some group of the Muslims to go and organize their own thing. We are in a country where we are accepting things that are not normal, and we have to do something about it. No mindset will change the orientation of change, except change the structure on ground.
All right. Thank you very much for your contribution. We know we are hungry, and rightly so as well. But let's try as much as possible to control our emotions, especially when we call in to speak on air. In the first part of the show, we talked about how the referendum can divide this nation. That if it is included in the Constitution, and that has not been done, until that is done, maybe the highest we can have is a restructuring, which, is also in the purview of these people as well.
Hello.
Please turn down the volume on your radio sets.
You haven't done that. Please turn down the volume on your radio set so we can hear you.
I think it's better now.
Yes. Your name and where you're calling from.
Yes, Oladele calling from Abeokuta.
Oladele, please go ahead.
Yes, I think issue should be addressed straight away. You see, a crime is a crime. Those people that have actually perpetrated the crime should be tried. It's very simple. Even we realize that most governors, they don't even like condemning the issue. I think that could be due to their religious belief and other things. But in the whole of Nigeria, you just realize this is a crime. It should be tried. That is my thinking.
All right. Thank you very much, Oladele, for your contribution. And some arrests have been made. I saw a video circulating as well. That's as regards Deborah's case of some of the guys arrested involved in the lynching. And the interest or the unfortunate part is even that they went on video and were proud about what they had done. Gloating.
Matchsticks and matchbox well, the translation from those who understand the language was that he was saying this is the matchstick with which I lit her on fire. I mean, the impunity with which you brag about having committed murder.
Hello, good morning. Hello. Hello, good morning. Please call us back if you can.
0704 400 1067, 0705 050 1067, 0817 444 1067. Can you hear us? Oh, we've lost the connection. We're going to try and connect you via Bluetooth, so please stay on the line. In the meantime, let's race through some comments. Okay, let's take the call on the other line. Hello, good morning.
Yeah. Am I clear now?
Nick.
Have you done a nothing more than? And we are still looking for evidence. Why was the president calling for thorough investigation when science and technology have given us the video of the boy holding the matches and the kerosene? So you can see the challenges that we face. And for those who are supporting this blasphemy in the north, blasphemy appears good until you see that it is your daughter. The way pornography appears good until you see your daughter, your mother, or your wife. How many are you saying?
We apologize. It was from our end, so if you can call us back, we'll be sure to get your thoughts. Hello, good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
What is your name? Where are you calling from?
OSA from Abeokuta.
Wesson?
OSA.
OSA.
Yeah.
Please go ahead.
I called to answer the last question you asked in source person, that what is the difference between resigning 30 days to the election and resigning before the primaries? Now, the difference is that imagine you are occupying an elected position to perform a function. You have been given a responsibility. Now, while maintaining that position, you are still going ahead to campaign to be a candidate of a party. Now, how do you focus on your responsibility? Now, so if you are to abide by the 30 days rule, now, the person, even after contesting, somebody like the CBN governor now, the ministers, after contesting and becoming the candidate, they will still not need to resign. It will be okay for them to stay until 30 days so they can still maintain that office while campaigning as the candidate, the flag bearer of their parties. I mean, it doesn't happen anywhere. We have been in this country for a while, and we see that the standard practice is that before elections are done, people resign. They are not forced to. I mean, it doesn't happen. Where have you heard before that the CBN, the governor of the CBN, the custodian of the treasury of the country, is aspiring to become, the flag bearer of a political party, and he still keeping the pulse of the country? It doesn't happen. I don't want to comment on Deborah's issue. He's a beast.
All right.
That's it. Thank you.
You have said enough. Thank you.
We
very
do
much.
appreciate the important clarification you made, OSA. Thank you for your contribution. All right, on WhatsApp, Anu from Kuto says the government should look into this jungle justice done by these wicked people. Just a comment about reformation of comments brought about the death of Deborah. May her gentle soul rest in peace. Justice must be served. The president has given an order of all ministers who have political ambition to resign, but we can see that some of these ministers have not submitted their letters yet. They should just continue. Nigerians are waiting for them. Is that the case? I believe a lot of them have either resigned or
said they are no
set
longer
aside
interested.
their
Set aside
aspirations.
So that is the last day. So they say you have by 12 midnight.
I know that AGF Malami as well as Ngige have decided to stick to their appointed positions. Right. This next comment is from Afolabi. Okay, I'll be back to take it if we still have time, but you've already called and said pretty much what you said here. But this one is from Ijaola Waliu, who says, in addition, jungle justice should be shunned across the country. All right, you added that to your earlier comment on our issue of the day. We have a few on Facebook.
On Facebook, Arumo Kunwayodeji Olushe said, good morning, Panorama. My take, break Nigeria to save lives. Well, we've talked about this. The only way this can happen is through a referendum. We've seen what IPOB is trying to do and how much violence it has brought to the southeast. At a time when the calls for Yoruba nation was rife as well, we saw what direction it was going. So, except a referendum is inserted in the constitution,
and that is under the purview of the lawmakers. The lawmakers, and that's another reason why you should pay attention to who is getting elected into both houses.
Agbo Samuel said, is Islam practice in the southwest different from the northern counterparts? Because I don't understand the fanatic nature of these ones in the north. These things are capable of stirring needless religious crisis. What has this crisis got to do with the Easterners? Now, the gentility of a crocodile in the river should not be taken for granted. Well, we hope that this does not escalate beyond what it is now. The curfew has been declared in Sokoto. And I know that the Kaduna State government even went as far as a banner on social media that circulated a day before the protests. That the protests happened on Saturday. Yes, the protests at the Sokoto and the one that eventually degenerated to the markets and what have you. But there was no move to either declare a curfew or put.
There was no presence of security officials.
Put security, operatives on standby, because I know that if any group comes today and says that we want to protest in Lagos, I'm sure that there will be police officers, everywhere.
We recall what happened with NSAS.
That didn't happen. But on Twitter, Larry Shawande said, "Good morning, Panorama. This is why terrorism will not stop in Nigeria. If the judgment of criticizing the Holy Prophet is murder, then people with such ideas will see terrorism as a good thing." He also is saying, let's divide this country.
You know what to do.
Well, we've talked about this.
Legally, if you want that as an option.
As a matter of fact, when you look at the pains that are being meted out to mostly Southerners, the agitation for secession, for dividing the nation will be there. But the fact of the matter is that there is benefits, a lot of advantages in Nigeria
remaining as one. All right, let me race through the comments on WhatsApp. Pentalk says, "Sincerely, every day I wonder if we have government in this country, government that only condemns an act and doesn't take serious action to kick against its occurrence or reoccurrence. This government is only concerned about their pockets and not the welfare of their citizens. This is why we see traveling out as escaping from this country." Dr. Michael Anokuru says, "It's unfortunate that Nigeria is not practicing democracy but autocracy, a nation that the citizens have no input on how they are governed. That is why they have refused to put referendum in our constitution. Even our southern national lawmakers are keeping mute. Who will help us out?" Finally, Akiwale from Camp says, "Good morning, gentlemen and Lady Lola. Akiwale from Camp, but listening today at Ile-Ife via Mixler." Oh, good morning once again, and good morning to you. Thank you for
sure you can now
staying
see
in touch, staying connected.
We do not just say it.
Exactly.
If you get to any of those platforms, you can listen to us. On Facebook, as we go, Ifeanyi Uchuku said, "Whoever we elect in both houses, the North has the advantage."
All right, tomorrow we'll be talking justice. I mean, that is one of the takeaways from Deborah's issue. So tomorrow we'll be talking the issue of justice with a lawyer. So make sure to join us for our issue of the day from 8 a.m. Thank you, Honorable Olufatoki, for your time with us this morning.
It is my pleasure.
We'll be back again tomorrow at 8. My name is Lola Meduteli.
I'll see you tomorrow, God's willing. My name is Buyeka Olaniyi. Enjoy the rest of the week.